Well, it had been done as a show on Philco by Bob Mulligan, based on a script by Gore Vidal.
Why did he ask you to direct it and not Bob Mulligan?
Well, because what was done on Philco was not exactly what we wanted as the film. Not by a long shot. Not even not exactly, but not by a long shot. Also, Fred and I, by this point, were, I don't know, getting even more friendly. You know, we began to know each other better. Our families knew each other. It was just a choice that Fred made. I don't know how to, I'm delighted he made it. So I had my chance to do my first movie, which was done at Warner Brothers.
With Paul Newman.
With Paul Newman, Hurt Hatfield, John Dehner, Lita Milan.
Do you recall, I always am amused by the directors who talk about New York actors who come out to do Westerns, and they all say they can ride a horse and don't. Did you have any experiences with something like that?
Only with myself. I can't ride a horse. And they managed to put me up on one at one point. Not on that picture, but on Little Big Man. And I managed to bust open the skin of my bottom on this.
What was your approach to the film version of Left-Handed Gun that was different from
Oh, it was totally
TV?
different. It was
Okay.
totally different. One, Gore wasn't available. And there was, the thing that was done on television was just a tiny little episode. And we developed really quite a different story, Leslie and I. We really wrote a new movie. And then, to the chagrin of this Hollywood film crew, I did something that I thought was perfectly reasonable, but they thought it was insane, which was to do a sort of flash forward, you know? They knew about flashbacks, but there's a scene where, in a room where one of the friends of Paul Newman is bathing in a hot tub, and there's steam on the window, but they're talking about getting some revenge, and Paul goes to the window, which is all steamed over, and he says, "They're coming from here, and we're going to be here, and then they're going to move over to here." And as he's doing that, I slowly brought through the image of the actual thing coming forward. And there was great chagrin at Warner Brothers. What the hell was this, you know? Nobody liked this idea at all, except that it blew the French movie makers of the Nouvelle Vague apart. They just thought that was wonderful.
And it helped tell the story.
Told the story perfectly.
Yeah.
Told the story with the economy that we had all learned in television.
How free were you with your direction of that film? Did Warner executives have any kind of an influence after seeing
yeah.
dailies?
Yeah, they would, but they were about the dumbest memos you've ever read.
We won't name names then.
We won't name names, but I would shoot a scene, and I would shoot all the masters and coverage, and I'd get a memo saying, "Why aren't you using close-ups?" And of course, the next day I would go in and cover all the tight stuff, and the memo would say, "Too many close-ups," from the same guy 24 hours later. And this was head of production at Warner Brothers Pictures. Didn't have a clue about how a movie is made. Not a clue.
Had you any ideas or experience of your own with the Western genre at that point?
No. My experience with the West was confined to Columbia, South Carolina. But that was, and the guys I was in the Army with. I mean, particularly in that group, because a lot of them were real country boys. Yeah.
Compared directing for film, your first film, with what you did in television?
Well, it was so simple to be working with one camera and one lens. And I thought, this is a snap. So I went around, actually, before we started shooting, with little flat Dixie cups, and I nailed them in the ground and put down the lens knot, 35 from here. With that, well, the cameraman was so furious at that. But I said, we got 23 days to make this movie, and this is where I want the camera, and this is what the lens is. So, and he would just stand there, practicing his golf shots. Okay, give him what he wants, you know? That was it. And
Because you laid it out just as you had in
and
live TV.
television,
Yeah.
exactly. I thought, we gotta be fast here. I'm not gonna stand around. I don't know how you make a movie, but I know I can't stand around and get a movie made in 23 days.
So did you find that you didn't make very many takes?
Very few, fortunately.
Mhm.
Fortunately, very, very few, because just as we were finishing the movie, a man came up to me and said, hello, I'm blank, blank, blank. I'm the most creative editor in Hollywood, and I happen to be the one who's going to edit your movie. And I thought, oh, that's nice, we're going to work together. And he said, no, we're not going to work together. I'm going to edit your movie. My jaw fell.
What a shock.
It was an absolute shock. I thought, how can somebody else edit what, because essentially what we had been doing all through live television was editing. We were editing on the air. You know, I mean, I'd like to see any of these fancy editors try that. But that was it. I finished the last shot. My parking space was painted over, and I was off the lot. And I thought, the hell with this. Movies are not for me.